Hello everyone. In this presentation, we will focus on the importance of law of property. Property in its widest sense includes all the legal rights of a person. All that is his is the man's property in law. Here, both personal rights and the proprietary rights are included within the term property. Personal rights include the rights pertaining to the status of a person like right to life, liberty, reputation, marital rights, parental rights, etc. Proprietary rights include the rights to estate or property like land, chattel, shares, debts, etc. According to Hobbes, life and limbs, conjugal affection and riches, and means of living in that order are property considered dearest to man. In the second and narrow sense, property includes only proprietary rights and not personal rights. These proprietary rights may again be proprietary rights in rem created by law and available against the world at large, or proprietary rights in personam created by parties through mutual agreement and available against specific individuals who are party to the agreement. As we have already seen in the last presentation, proprietary rights in personam are dealt with under law of obligation. In the third sense, the term property includes only proprietary rights in rem. Property may be corporeal or incorporeal. Corporeal includes material objects which are movable or immovable. Incorporeal properties include any other proprietal interest. In the narrowest sense, property includes nothing more than corporeal property, that is, right of ownership in material objects. Corporeal property may be movable, including goods or chattel, or immovable, including land, building, etc. Rights and duties pertaining to movable property are covered by contract law, and rights and duties pertaining to immovable property is dealt with by law of property. Right to property includes a right to own, possess, use, enjoy, as well as to dispose the property at one's own will. Now, rights over property can also be classified under two heads. Rights in re propria, that is, rights over one's own property, material or immaterial, and rights in re aliena, that is, rights over properties of others. Rights over material objects like land, building, and other immovable property and goods or chattel, which constitute movable property, are rights in re propria. Rights over incorporeal property like patents, copyrights, and trademarks are also rights in re propria. Leases, servitudes, securities, and trusts are examples of rights in re aliena. Here, the rights are exercised over the property of others. Now, what are these rights about? When a man creates or produces a thing, he should have an exclusive right to use it and obtain benefit out of it. Similarly, immaterial products of human brain produced from human skill and labor have also to be considered as valuable as his land and his goods. Therefore, law gives proprietary right in it, and unlawful use of it by others is considered to be a violation of his ownership. Such immaterial forms of property are of five kinds. They are patents, literary copyright, artistic copyright, musical and dramatic copyright, commercial goodwill, trademarks, and trade names. What are all these about? Patents. Invention is the subject matter of this right. Here, the idea of new process, new instrument, or manufacture is the product of human skill and labor, and hence the person creating it is entitled to use it and obtain profit from it. Literary copyright is a literary expression of facts or thoughts, and here the person who creates such facts or thoughts has a right to use it for his own benefit because it is the product of his skill and labor. Artistic copyright. The subject matter of this right is the artistic design, which may take the form of drawing, painting, sculpture, photography, etc. Musical and dramatic copyrights. The subject matter of this right is the skill of the musician or playwright, and therefore unauthorized performance or representation amounts to copyright violation. Commercial goodwill, trademarks and trade names. Here the persons establishing business by using their skill and labor, they acquire interest in the goodwill of the business. This may be in the form of trademarks or trade names, and unauthorized use of such trademarks or trade names amounts to violation of a right. Principles governing all these forms of incorporeal property, also called as intellectual property, are dealt with under the intellectual property law. Separate acts governing each of these forms are Patents Act dealing with patents, Copyrights Act dealing with all forms of copyright, Trademarks Act dealing with trademarks, and Designs Act dealing with designs. The law of property also deals with different kinds of rights in re aliena to which property may be subject. These include leases, wherein there is a right to possess and use the property owned by some other person. Servitudes, also called as easements. Here the right available is the right to limited use of a piece of land without possessing or owning it. Example, right to way or passage. Securities, these are encumbrances, that is charges or burden on property which facilitates the enjoyment of some other right vested in the same person. Securities are of two kinds. Mortgage, here there is an independent right and is not merely a security for a debt. There also exists a right to possess, use and enjoy the property mortgaged. Lien, here the property is merely a security for the debt. Right to use or enjoy the benefit from the property is not available in lien. Trust property is the property owned by two persons. One of them, the trustee, is under an obligation to use it for the benefit of another, the beneficiary. In India, Transfer of Property Act deals with principles governing the transfer of property, which include transfer of immovable property by sale, mortgage, charges, leases, exchange of property, transfer through gifts, and transfer of actionable claims. Bailment, pledge, and sale of goods, which are transactions pertaining to movable property, are dealt with under Indian Contract Act and Sale of Goods Act. Law relating to servitudes is contained in the Indian Easements Act. It deals with principles governing creation, acquisition or transfer of easements like right to way, right to light, etc. It also deals with rules that prescribe the manner in which such easementary rights can be suspended, extinguished or revived. Principles governing grant and revocation of licenses which provide a right to do something with immovable property of another which would be unlawful in the absence of the right are also dealt with by the Act. For example, license to conduct a fair on another's property or hold a meeting on the land of another. Trusts are dealt with by the trust law. Trusts may be private trusts, which are dealt with by the Indian Trusts Act, or public trusts, which may be religious, charitable, or both, governed by special laws like Maharashtra Public Trusts Act and Charitable Trusts Act. As all these laws form a major chunk of the substantive civil law, and as a major portion of civil litigation at this trial stage are property disputes, proficiency in these laws would be of immense help to lawyers as well as civil judges, and thus this subject is included as a core paper in the law courses. Thank you.